Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to today's video. All right, got a couple stories going on for you today. We got what can only really call a first world kind of cruising problem, and we have the possibility of your next cruise costing more money. Well, because there's some folks out there that are interested in charging you some taxes. But let's start off today with our first world cruising problem. Now, this all started last week. This all started on a Facebook page where there was about 180 people in this Facebook group. They're planning on being on a cruise over Christmas. On Christmas morning, it's going to be a sea day on board the ship. So they have come out and said, hey, Christmas morning on board a cruise ship, we're going to go to Sea Day brunch because it's on Carnival Cruise Lines. And we're going to go to Sea Day brunch wearing our matching Christmas pajamas. When I heard that story, really doesn't seem like it's much of an issue. Doesn't seem like it's much of a problem, but believe it or not, this has kind of blown up into a bit of a controversy out there. Enough that it's even been given a name, and they're now calling it Pajamagate. And the controversy is coming from some folks that think it is absolutely wrong to wear pajamas in the main dining room, even if it is for brunch or, breakfast brunch, but sea day brunch on board Carnival cruise ship. They say pajamas is just absolutely a violation of the dress code. Absolutely should not be allowed. And if you follow cruising and cruise news, you may have already heard a little bit about this. If you watch our show regularly, we actually talked about this comment this past Saturday on what every cruiser wants. But this story, well, it hasn't died. It hasn't gone away. It moved over to John Heald, Carnival Cruise Line brand ambassador. It's on his Facebook page, and people are still talking about it. People are still arguing about it. And that's why I call it a first world problem, because look, these people are arguing about pajamas. Arguing enough that they actually have put out a survey to get people's opinions on what they think about Pajamagate. Now, the last time I looked at the survey, it had a little over 12,000 votes. And of those 12,000 votes, 9% said no, it should not be allowed. That means that 91% of the people either said yes, they would do it, they would wear pajamas to the main dining room for Sea Day brunch, or said, no, I would not wear them, but I don't mind if others do. Now, me personally, I don't mind. You're gonna wear pajamas to Sea Day brunch on Christmas morning? I say, go for it. Now, I do believe that there should be, some stipulations in there. The pajamas should be tasteful. They should cover up all of the required bits and pieces that are necessary to be covered. Obviously, I don't think some Victoria's Secret Christmas lingerie pajamas is appropriate. I don't think that a Santa hat Speedo is appropriate. But I do think that the idea of pajamas in the main dining room, hey, it's kind of a fun idea for Christmas morning. But not everybody's happy about it, creating all kinds of controversy. Just in my opinion, I think the world is changing. I think Carnival Cruise Line is changing, and I think there's some folks out there that are having trouble with the change. I think they can't get past the good old days of cruising where people dressed up for dinner. It was a common thing for people to be in the main dining room dressed up, tablecloths on the table, fine china, white glove type service. And these days, it's not like that anymore. It's a lot more casual. It's a lot more fun, family-friendly type experience. They still have an elegant night, a dress-up night, a fancy night, but you know what? Not everybody even participates in that, and they don't really enforce that you have to be dressed up for elegant night. And I believe that has to do with the changing of times. People are now going on vacation, and they don't want to dress up on vacation. They want to relax on vacation. They want to take it easy on vacation. They want to be comfortable on vacation. Now, if you do dress up, there's nothing wrong with that. If you like to dress up for dinner, you of course can, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the days of everybody doing it, the days of it being required that everybody does it, well, hate to say it, but those days unfortunately, they're just gone if that's what you liked. If you want a strict dress code in the main dining room, if you want the fancy, tuxedo, ball gown, shirt and tie, jacket type of situation, I think perhaps another cruise line that still kind of does that, maybe an old tradition style cruise line that still does that, maybe more to your liking if that's what you're looking for. Because look, you're never going to get that again on Carnival Cruise Lines. They're not going to go back to that. Things like pajamas and a sea day brunch on Christmas morning is going to be way more normal than the old way of doing things on board cruise ships. And I think that's just a fact that some cruisers are gonna have to learn to accept. There's really no other way around that. Now, there are cruise lines out there that still do it a more traditional style cruise. And like I said, that's probably just gonna be the best way for some folks to go. Now, enough about pajamas. Let's get into an increase in cruising, especially if you're headed to Mexico. So Quintana Roo, which is a state in Mexico, so it's not the whole country, it's just the state of Quintana Roo, which the cruise ports of Costa Maya, Cozumel, Mexico, and if I'm not mistaken, Progreso are all within. Well, the state of Quintana Roo, they want to charge a new tax on cruise passengers. Now, this is not a new idea. This is not a new concept. We've seen this from many different locations recently. Scotland has recently proposed a new tax on cruise passengers. The Bahamas has a new tax on cruise passengers. Spain has also put a new tax on cruise passengers. And now Mexico, or Quintana Roo in Mexico, well, they want to get in on this action too. So there is a proposal to charge $5 per cruise passenger for tourism infrastructure project and natural disaster recovery. That's what they say this money is going to go to. Now, I say proposed because this hasn't gone into effect yet. It is currently being proposed. They want it to begin in January the 1st of 2025. And this is on top of what you already pay for port fees and taxes. So remember, every time your ship docks somewhere, you're paying port fees and taxes. Okay, now this $5 is on top of that, so additional to more money out of your pocket. Now, this proposed tax, if it goes through, of course, would affect all cruise lines because all of the major cruise lines visit at least Cozumel, Mexico. Seen them all there. Carnival, Royal, Norwegian, Disney, Celebrity, Viking Cruise Lines. I've seen them all there at least once. And so far here in 2023, they've already seen about 4.3 million cruise passengers times $5 per passenger. That's quite a bit of money that they are looking, for their infrastructure and, natural disaster fund. At least that's where they say the money is going to. Now, one thing they haven't clarified is this $5 per person per port. So if you go to Cozumel, Mexico, it's $5. Then you go to Costa Maya, it's another $5. Or if it is $5 per cruise. So they haven't quite clarified that point. But depending on your cruise, it could be anywhere between $5 and $10 per person. And $5 or $10 may not seem like a lot. It's not a huge amount of money, once you're already booked your cruise, gotten your excursions, gotten that drink package and the Wi-Fi. $5 or $10 may not seem like it's all that much, but all these little increases, whether it's coming from the cruise line, whether it's coming from additional taxes, whether it's coming, from an increase in excursion costs, it all is starting to add up more and more, and kind of brings up the question, is this money that they really need? Is this really being done to improve the infrastructure for tourism, or is this a money grab? Are they seeing these other countries out there putting taxes in on cruise passengers, and suddenly they're seeing, the magical dollar sign, saying to themselves, well, if they can afford to come here, if they can come to visit, they can afford to spend the money, they can afford to pay us more taxes. We want more of their money. Also kind of brings up the question, is this really a smart idea? You remember when we had the cruising shutdown and no cruises were going to Mexico, no cruises were going to Cozumel. They were hurting bad. They were hurting over the loss of the income that came from cruising. Now that that income is back, now that cruisers are back, is it really a good idea to suddenly want to charge them more money? And I don't know, you guys are gonna have to tell me, is $5 or $10, that big of a deal? Or do you think this is a trend that maybe is gonna start putting some people off, and maybe they're gonna think about taking a different type of vacation? Because with everybody raising taxes and everybody increasing their prices, is this starting to get out of affordability? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. How do you feel about the state of Quintana Roo in Mexico proposing a tax on cruise passengers? Is this a good idea or is it a bad idea? And that's going to be our cruise news video for today. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. Helps our channel grow. Let you know anytime we put out a new video. We will be live tonight, 6 p.m. Central Time. If anybody wants to come and join our live video, we definitely look forward to everybody being there, carrying on the cruise conversation, and seeing wherever tonight's live is possibly going to take us. Hope everyone out there is having a really great day, and like always, we will see you out on the high seas.